everybody, this is Josh and welcome to Consume the Canon. So, we are tearing through Clone Wars. Last time got through Season 4. Today I'm going to try and get through all of Season 5. It might be a little rough. There's a lot of stuff that happens in Season 5, but we're going to give it a shot. And then we've got Season 6, Season 7, the unfinished season, which we'll probably do next week. And then we are done with Clone Wars. So we still got 2 more episodes totally about Clone Wars. But today we're focusing on Season 5. So let's jump right in. So the episode arcs in Season 5 are interesting because they are much, much longer. Almost all of them are 4 episodes long. And the first one is where the Jedi are sent to Onderon to train a bunch of folks who are rebelling against the Separatists on how to attack and defend. Now, the big things about this is the struggle that Ahsoka has between outright helping these people to defend themselves against the Separatists and doing what Obi-Wan and Anakin are suggesting, which is just training them. The Jedi can't get involved here. They want these planets, which are independent, to defend themselves rather than having the Republic come in and defend them against the Separatists. The other cool thing that happens in here is this is the introduction of the character Saw Guerrera. So technically, if you're looking at it from a general content perspective, Saw Guerrera actually appears in Catalyst, a Rogue One novel, all the way at the end. But from a timeline perspective, this is the initial introduction of Saw Guerrera in this Clone Wars episode arc. The long and the short of it is, the group on the ground tries to save this king who is rebelling against the Separatist forces who are kind of holding their planet hostage. They decide that Saw's sister Steela would be the best person to lead them, and then she dies at the end of the episode arc. It's a super great, complex, fantastic storytelling, and it gives lots of different concepts for Star Wars, a lot of different concepts around Clone Wars, and it brings them all together into one arc. It is a much better start to the season than Season 4, and it really starts to give a sense of how they're going to be ratcheting things up leading into the end of the series. After this is a 4-episode arc, which is a ton of fun. This is a 4-episode arc with a bunch of younglings who are going to get their kyber crystals to build their lightsabers. So it's a 4-episode arc. It stars Ahsoka in it. Ahsoka has a lot of arcs going on in Season 5. And it's all about the younglings going through their trials to get their kyber crystals. And then, of course, something goes wrong because they get attacked by Hondo Ohnaka. Hondo is basically trying to attack the younglings to take the kyber crystals because they're super valuable. Things don't go the way that he was planning. Ahsoka actually saves the day, but then gets sucked into the pirate ship. And so then Ahsoka needs to be saved by all the younglings. So the younglings all get together. They pretend they're in a circus troupe. That part's a little weird. And then they save Ahsoka from Hondo. And then they have to save each other. Hondo and the younglings and Ahsoka all have to come together to save each other from Grievous and his army, who is coming down to just be a jerk. So it's kind of interesting here because if you'll notice in the episode arcs, we actually skip episode 1 of Season 5. This season, from a chronological order, starts with episode 2. Episode 1 doesn't happen until much later in the series. I think it's like the 12th or 13th episode chronologically. And in that episode, we'll see that Hondo's place has already been wiped out by Grievous and his gang of droids. So it's kind of neat that it actually needs to move like that. And there's something so obvious that happened in the exact same season that necessitates its move. Anyway, younglings, Ahsoka, fighting Grievous, super fun arc. Relatively kid-friendly, which is weird for Clone Wars, but it's definitely a lot of fun. This next arc is a little bit weird. So it's droid-focused, and it's all about this group of droids who are trying to have a mission on their own, and they get lost. and they get abandoned on this planet, which is completely desolate and almost entirely flat. And it's about the Jedi who's with them, who's like this big and can fit inside one of their heads, and how he kind of struggles with his own pride and trying to help them succeed in their mission. There's a lot of weird stuff going on in here. It's super fun. Like, normally the weird episodes and the droid-focused episodes I'm not really that keen on, but this one does have R2-D2 in it. It's a 4-episode arc. But the other thing that's neat about this is that we actually meet a clone in episode 3 and 4 of this. Well, episode 3, really, of the arc. We meet a clone who has been abandoned on this planet and has no memory of who he was. Well, the clone that we meet on this abandoned planet in the middle of nowhere actually turns out to be ARC Trooper Gregor. Now, we don't see him again in Clone Wars, but Gregor is one of the clones who actually appears in Rebels. So we will see Gregor again. This is where he's introduced. When we leave him, it looks like he's totally going to die, and there's no way he could possibly survive. But the rules of television and movies tell us if you don't see someone die explicitly on screen, they could still be alive. Hint, hint, Mace Windu might still be alive. Who knows? Anyway, 4-episode arc. Droids save the day. The Jedi Gaskin, everyone realizes that he is actually the hero he thought he was, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, it's a good arc. It's about droids. It's fun. But it continues the season 5 good, solid arcs. It continues that along. There are only 2 more arcs in season 5, but man, they are doozies. The first one is a 4-episode arc which reintroduces Darth Maul and Savage Opress. It starts with the first episode of the season, and it goes through 3 more episodes. And basically what we see in these episodes are Darth Maul and Savage Opress gaining power. They are getting together all the different syndicates like the Pikes and the Black Sun, and then eventually Death Watch, to all join forces and to provide Maul with the power that he needs for his ultimate goal of bringing down the Emperor. There is a lot of stuff that happens in this arc. First of all, Death Watch takes over Mandalore for a while. The spoilers, tons of spoilers, gonna give you some spoilers here. There's lots of spoilers here. Duchess Satine dies in Obi-Wan's hands. It is brutal. And the entire 4-episode arc really shows the power that Darth Maul can have over people. He assembles an amazing collection of syndicates almost overnight and takes over an entire planet without really too much trouble. However, it is also Maul's downfall that he never has enough. He always wants more. Even from the first time that we're introduced to Maul, when he kills his first Jedi in his first comic series, all the way back before Phantom Menace, the first thing he thinks is, I want to kill more Jedi. He always wants more. And so he overreaches. And he decides that he's going to actually start, fighting the Emperor. He wants to go fight the Emperor. Well, Emperor Palpatine senses a little bit of craziness going on. He actually goes to Mandalore and takes on Savage Opress and Darth Maul at the same time. And he whoops them both, like, savagely. It's interesting. This is the one and only time that we actually see the Emperor using 2 lightsabers. I honestly think he should have always used 2 lightsabers because he looks amazing with 2 lightsabers. And it's the first time, too, chronologically, that we see Palpatine really fighting with lightsabers. And the best part about his fighting style, and it's something they've continued through all the times we see a Palpatine fight, is that he's just laughing maniacally the whole time. It is so simple for him to kill people. It's so easy for him to fight them with these lightsabers. And you see Maul and Opress just get completely manhandled. Maul gets captured at the end, and then we don't really know what happens to him for a while, but at the end of season 5, it looks like it's all done for Darth Maul. After this, there is one more arc that closes out the season. And again, if you have not watched season 5, if you haven't watched Clone Wars, you have to watch it before I talk about this, because there is some substantial content that gets spoiled here. So, The 4-episode arc begins with Anakin and Ahsoka trying to find out more about a bombing that happened at the Jedi Temple. The first and second episodes are really about that and trying to determine what happened and who it was. There's a big upswell of anti-Jedi movements going on Coruscant and across the galaxy. And so this is the first time the Jedi are really challenged with having to consider, are we not the heroes? Are we doing something wrong? Why are people really pushing this hard against us? And it starts to become clear that maybe a Jedi was responsible for what happened. Well, through some trickery and some underhandedness and really no fault of her own, Ahsoka gets blamed for the bombing. And she also gets blamed for the murder of the wife of the key suspect of the bombing. So everyone looks to Ahsoka and assumes she's the one to blame. It turns out that the one person who is willing to help Ahsoka is Asajj Ventress. Ahsoka escapes prison, gets away. She runs into Ventress, and Ventress says, you know what, I'm going to help you. Just because. Like, she believes her for some reason. She knows what it's like to be kind of rejected by your master. Like, Ahsoka feels like she's been rejected by Anakin. And so the two of them kind of team up to try and figure out what's going on. Well, it turns out that Ahsoka, of course, did not murder anyone. She didn't set a bomb. It was actually Barriss Offee. So Barriss Offee, who is Luminara Unduli's Padawan, basically didn't believe that the Jedi were heading in the right direction. She felt that they were becoming too warmongery. She felt like they were just a pawn of the Republic. She felt like they had lost their way in what they were supposed to be doing. And so she is the one who's responsible for the bombing. She's the one who set up Ahsoka, which is just another time that Ahsoka has felt as though someone is turning on her. She felt like the Jedi have turned on her. She felt like Anakin has turned on her. And now someone who she considered to be one of her close friends has turned on her and basically left her out to dry. Ahsoka has very little left to hang on to here. And so once Barriss Offee has expressed that she is the one who's responsible, by the way, Barriss Offee single-handedly almost beats Anakin Skywalker in a lightsaber duel. She's pretty badass. Ahsoka, who has been kicked out of the Jedi Order at this time because she apparently bombed a bunch of people. Turns out she didn't. The Jedi say, hey, okay, come on back. We're sorry. We were wrong. And Ahsoka says, nope. No way. You guys rejected me, and I am not coming back after that. I am not going to be a part of an order which couldn't believe me, which couldn't accept that I couldn't possibly do something like that. She feels completely lost. She feels completely rejected. And in the end of the episode, she leaves Anakin. She leaves the Jedi. She leaves it all behind to go off on her own. And at the end of that season, we had no idea what was going to happen. She doesn't appear in season 6. She doesn't appear in season 7. We had no clue what was going on. And it was a real gut punch. It's amazing, though. The end of season 5, the last 8 episodes of season 5, if I had to list a top 20 favorite episodes of Clone Wars, all 8 of these episodes would be in that top 20. And probably more than half of them would be in the top 10. It is exceptional. It is, without question, the best Clone Wars storytelling that there is. And I would highly recommend anyone who's watched Clone Wars to watch the end of season 5 again. And anyone who hasn't watched Clone Wars, watch the first 4.5 seasons of Clone Wars so you can watch the end of season 5. So that's all we got for this week. Finished up season 5. Next time we're going to be talking about season 6 and season 7, the weird unfinished season 7, and then that'll be it for Clone Wars. But until then, this is Josh, and thank you. Please like, share, subscribe, tell your friends, and thank you for joining me on Consume the Canon.